Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You're listening to That Infernal Noise, now part of the Mental Health News Radio Network.
Devil, not no more for these, you call me Ichigo. Now I let my aura grow as I pull my Zanpakuto. Let me introduce you, his name is Agetsu. Well, he will only live if and when we let you. Been through a lot of things, killed oh so many hollows, didn't know at first which path was the right to follow. I don't fight, cause I want to win a fight, cause I have to. I will take my spirit energy and aim it right back at you. Fighting a nigga be Yakuya, taught me a lot of things, like how to channel and harness all my hate and rage in the form of a bankai. I don't understand why I'm the only one fighting, all the others stand by. I'm not such a saint, I promise that I'll risk my life for strangers. Neither am I scum enough to sit back while they're in danger. Everyone looking at me like I'm a superhero, like this is the Matrix and I'm playing Neo. But I'll see my duty through. What the fuck else would I do? Just let it all rot or leave it up to Udi. You a fuck all that now, cause I'm the one in full control. That is until the hollow takes control over my soul. I'm a fucking anime kid. 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 And if you don't like it, shut the motherfucker up.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of That Infernal Noise. Took the last episode off, well, should have been the last episode off. Things got kind of crazy, kind of hectic, so I took a week off, trying to get a couple of things situated and handled. It's looking like everything's coming together nicely. That's all I'm going to say for right now until I can make some sort of official post, announcement, whatever. Shirts are going to be on the way. Podcast website is on the way. It's an official business, which I couldn't have done without my family. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it, and trying to get everything together right now is kind of stressful. Gotta be completely honest. But anyway, I thank you all for coming back again. And if you haven't been here before, I say welcome. This is my personal journal, podcast, whatever you want to call it, on my mental health journey, which I know is taboo to talk about in this day and age for a dude. I mean, it's getting a little bit more acceptable to talk about, but there's still a stigma attached to it because we're supposed to be the strong ones and all that bullshit. It's a no judgment zone. So if you ever have anything you want to talk about or whatever, please let me know. I am here to help. Well, try to at least. I'm not the best about keeping up with people, as I'm sure Rico and a couple other friends will let you know. Today, oh shit, I got a lot of white in my beard that I didn't realize. It looks like it's just white, but I swear to God there's black in there. And then it looks like it's just right here, but there's... Anyway, sorry. Today I wanted to talk about just mental health awareness. Because for so many of us, it's kind of swept under the rug. I know I myself was guilty of it, and I felt like if you couldn't handle it on your own, you're a bitch, pussy, whatever. I said it all to myself, to other people, because I was uneducated and I was in a lot of denial over the things that I was feeling and the things that I was going through, because I just buried it deep down as opposed to actually trying to deal with it and grow and learn from it. That's where I'm at now. I've been in therapy for over a year and a half. Yeah, over a year and a half. And I went from going every single week to now I'm seeing her once a month. Not because I'm done by any stretch of the imagination. There's still work to be done, for sure. But because I now feel comfortable and I feel like I have the tools to function without it every week. Some people don't get to that point for years, and I'm not saying I'm special. It was just, from my vantage point, I was so motivated and, I guess, gung-ho about it that I had no choice but to try to get through it as quickly as possible. And not that it's a thing that you can get through quickly. It's just, for me, I've always been a soul searcher. I've always been somebody that's inside my own head trying to figure things out, trying to figure out the meaning of life and all the other shit, along with trying to figure out myself. And with that, I think that's what helped me in the mental health journey process, going through therapy and whatnot. Because, as anyone will tell you, whenever I start getting into something, be it bands, anime, any kind of nerdy shit, whatever, I find out everything possible. It still irritates Gabriel to this day, 20 plus years later. And I've gotten shit for it because, look, why the fuck do you know where they went to school? Stuff like that. And I used to see it as a bad thing because I saw it as like part of my obsessive compulsiveness, and it is, don't get me wrong, it totally is, but it's also helped me in my journey because I try to learn as much as possible, and I keep that with everything. I want to know everything. I want to know as much as I can, so the decisions I make and how I carry myself and all that is based on logic and reason and information, not just, oh, well, I feel like this, so I'm going to do this. I do go with my gut a lot. I trust my gut more than most people, but I trust my gut more than most people because I have all of that knowledge, because I've done so much soul searching and I've put in so much time from the time I was a child trying to figure myself and everybody else in the world out. So if you see me being quiet in a social situation, it's because I'm taking in everything and I'm trying to see, okay, well, this person's that, this person's this, and they're trying to impress them, and yada, yada, yada. And that's the way my brain connects everything. Like, I'm not antisocial by any stretch of the imagination. I would say I'm the opposite. I like social situations. They recharge me for some reason, but they can also drain me depending on who I'm around. And the key is to try to balance that. And I've up until recently had a big problem with that, trying to balance my needs along with the needs and energies of people around me. And it's very hard not to just recluse in that, because that is very easy for me. It's so easy for me. If I could just at times lock myself up in the house and not see anybody do anything, I'd be totally cool with that. And I know most people can't function like that, but, well, shit, I don't know if I'm actually functioning like that. Because if COVID taught us anything, is that we were not prepared to be locked in the house that fucking much. Because a lot of things came to a head for Niche and I specifically. And it was a very bumpy road for a good bit. The kids started seeing it. That tore me up. Whenever my kids were saying, Dad, we just want you and Mom to stop arguing. And it wasn't the first time that happened. It happened with my older two, with my ex-wife. And I knew it then, and I knew something needed to change then. I just didn't know where to start, because the mental health journey has always scared the shit out of me. For the same reason it scares the shit out of a lot of people. It's like, you don't know what you don't know. Or you don't know what you don't remember. I know I got a friend that's going through therapy right now, and he's discovering that he suppressed a lot of shit. And it's stuff that we've had sporadic conversations about over the years, but for some reason his subconscious just took over and buried all of that. And he's having a tough go of it mentally. And I've been there. You know, fortunately or unfortunately for me, my memory is photographic. I don't know why I have that ability. It is a blessing and a curse, because I can remember everything anybody's ever done to me. I can remember all the negative things better than the positive things. And, you know, I was having a conversation with my ex-wife about that not too long ago, and she was like, well, everything wasn't all bad. And I started thinking about it. I was like, no, it wasn't. But the bad shit was really bad shit, and the bad shit is what sticks out. And I see that with my oldest daughter, because she does a lot of the same thing. Like, oh, well, it's always blah, 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 and it's the negative. Because the negative reinforces the pathways, and it's what we're used to, so that's where our mind goes. Not thinking about the fact that the negative is really only 10%, 20% of our daily life. And the other 80, 90 is all the good shit. Or maybe not good shit, but the middle of the road shit, where it's not just negative, but your mind frames it that it is. And I've had to retrain my mind on that. It's like, no, not everything's negative. I've always prided myself on trying to see both sides of the argument and trying to be very middle of the road. Like, okay, I'm sitting on the fence and I can see both sides. Some things I just refuse to relent, and I think what I think, but whenever it comes down to it, I really do try to see both sides of it. And I didn't do it with myself for the longest time because, I don't know, I could give that information and that advice to hundreds of people and never heed it myself. And going through therapy, it helped me figure that part out. Because I was discussing siblings I didn't know I had. And the one that contacted me, his name is Drew. And we talked for a little bit about this and that, and I found out that my dad, who bailed on me before I was born, didn't bail on them before they were born, but he ended up bailing. And my heart went out to him, to Drew, because I can't imagine how much worse my psychoses and all that shit would have been if I had had my dad in my life for X amount of years and then one day he just decided to bolt. I'm sure the shit that I had to deal with would be way worse. Just because you had something and then you lost it. And I've had plenty of that in my life too, but I was talking to my therapist about it, and she was like, well, do you think that Drew deserves all that pain and angst and deserves to be left and doesn't deserve to be loved? And my immediate response was absolutely not. Like, no, he deserves way better than that. And I don't even know him outside of a handful of conversations that I've had with him. And she just stopped and she just kind of looked at me through the camera and she was like, that's how you need to look at yourself. And that, I know it sounds like Lifetime movie-ish or whatever, but that's when it clicked. It's like, fuck, I need to think about myself that same way. And I started thinking about myself that same way. At that point, I realized that I am worthy of love. as corny and shit as people will make it sound. I am. And I've fallen back in love with myself. And the nerdy things that I'm into, the everything about myself. It's like I used to hate myself, like really viscerally detest myself, where I didn't want to look at myself in the mirror. You couldn't catch me recording my voice, much less this video. All of that. It's like I hated everything about myself because I felt that I don't like me, so why is anybody else? Or if other people did like me, it was, well, they're only doing it because they're trying to satiate me or whatever. Which couldn't have been further from the truth either, but that's how my mind framed it based on all of the stuff that I had gone through growing up. With not having my dad, sporadically having my mom, going back and forth between houses, all that stuff, it really did a number on me that I didn't realize it did until it was almost too late. And I say almost too late because there were moments, there were thoughts of suicide. And that's not a word I throw around lightly, because I've seen too many people and too many friends and too many good people go that way because of unresolved mental issues, unresolved traumas, or whatever. And when I say it was close, it was really close. And I'm not proud of the fact that a lot of that was after I had kids. And the reason I'm not proud of it is because I've seen what it does to families. Whenever it's a father, a mother, older brother, older sister, aunt, uncle, whatever. And it was at that moment that I never felt more selfish in my life. And considering the life that I've led up until Nisha and I got together, that's saying something, because I was nothing but selfish. And I find myself navigating calmer waters now. It could be because of the medication. It could be because of the therapy. It could be everything. I don't know. Looking at myself now, I don't know how I got here. In multiple aspects. I don't know how I got here because I didn't think I was going to live to see fucking 18, much less 38. And I'm staring down the barrel of 39, 40 now. I'm like, I'm going to be 39 in February. It's November. And, you know, over the years, there's been a lot of different things to bring me back from the brink. You know, at one point, it was my older two. At one point, it was my ex-wife. At one point, it was my friends. At one point, it was Niche. All my kids, like, there was music. There was all of these external factors that I was counting on to keep me sane. And an insane mind. And it took me so long to realize that that's not healthy. That's a form of codependency, to be completely honest. In my opinion. Maybe not clinically, but that's how I feel about it. And I kept looking outward. I kept looking for something to guide me, for something to save me. And I can't save you if you don't want to save yourself. And I really didn't want to save myself. I wanted to watch the world burn. I wanted every negative thing possible to happen. I didn't care if it was to me because I expected it. And I found myself being very hateful and angry towards people that I shouldn't be angry and hateful towards. You know, I was way more strict and I don't want to say violent, but I was definitely more aggressive with my older two kids as they were growing up. The younger two haven't seen it near as much, luckily. And the older two don't ever let me forget that. As well they should. That's their trauma. That's their cross to bear. And I've been trying to make amends for it since then. But I was taking it out on... I took it out on my ex-wife. Without a doubt. And then... But see, I was taking it out on my ex-wife built from ex-girlfriends, built from my life and the shit that I went through. And I turned that into fuck her. And notwithstanding, we did our shit to each other too. Don't get me wrong. So it wasn't just that. It was a culmination of things. And then once we split up, Nisha and I got together almost immediately, and that wasn't the plan. I say unfortunately, not because I regret it, but unfortunately it wasn't the ideal situation. And unfortunately she and I got together directly after that, and it just transferred. It transferred because I didn't have time to work on myself. I didn't have time to figure out what was causing all the anger and all of the angst and hatred and all of that shit. I just jumped into another relationship like I have always done in my life, which has worked out so well for me. And I dare say Niche got the worst of it, which is saying something because the other girls I've been with have dealt with a lot of shit. She saw me at my absolute lowest, at my absolute worst. And I say that without any embellishment or over dramatizing or anything like that. Granted, I wasn't a cokehead, I wasn't a pill popper or whatever, but that was arguably the worst my alcoholism has ever been. The womanizing had already kind of gone away. I haven't ever cheated on Niche, which, if anybody knew me 10, 12 years ago, that would be a surprising statement for me to say, that I've gone this long without cheating. And that shouldn't be an accomplishment. You should just not cheat on your spouse or have an agreement or whatever, but it needs to be out in the open if that's the case. And I know a lot of people don't agree with that either, but I'm a different breed. But my alcoholism was at the worst. It was make or break time. It really was. And the last time I got completely shit hammered was a week to the day before Mandy and Gabriel got married. And I remember it vividly. Well, I don't remember it vividly, but I made it a point to remember what day it was. And it was the fight to end all fights for us. I woke up the next morning with fragmented memory, at best. And I could see it in my head, but kind of like Gabriel always says, his pill popping days, everything's like a clip show to him. And I agree with that. But that's my alcoholism. It was a clip show. And I saw things that happened, things that I said, things that I did. And it just made me sad. Like, really. Like, it hurt my heart. It hurt my heart to think that here's somebody else that just wants to care about you, that wants the best for you. And you're trying to burn it all down. You're trying to burn the fucking bridge while you're standing on it. And I woke up the next morning, hungover as shit, of course. Fully aware that my wife is probably going to leave me today. And that scared me more than anything. Because Nisha's a good person. She's one of the best I've ever met. And I turned her into something that she wasn't. In my head and in our relationship. And it was a lot to deal with. That was my rock bottom moment where I just saw all of it so clearly. And I've had breakdowns about it. I was waiting for her to leave me every other fucking day because of that, from that time on. You know, come the next week, whenever Mandy and Gabriel were getting married and I was the best man and she was the maid of honor, I still wasn't sure that we were going to be together at that point, because I thought for sure she was like, okay, we're getting through this and then fuck him. And luckily that wasn't the case. I did my time, quote unquote, I did my time. And ever since then, I've been trying to make it up to her. I faltered. Once I got sober, I realized that there were so many things that were unresolved in my life. Mentally, emotionally, whatever. All of it. And I never addressed it. Not in any serious, meaningful way in correcting it or being able to deal with it correctly. Or however you want to look at it. It was all very, oh yeah, I know this happened. No, it doesn't affect me. I'm cool. Da 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 da. Like so many of us still do. And that's why I don't lie about it anymore. It's like, no, yeah, that shit wasn't cool. And I bring it up because I've done the other, and the other almost destroyed my entire life. Literally, metaphorically, everything. And I'm thankful that I got to the other side. Because a lot of people don't. A lot of people try to quit. A lot of people try to get away from the things that are destroying them, and they can't. I've seen it. I've seen it happen to friends of mine. People that I considered family at one point. And they just couldn't ever shake the monkey on their back. And I knew I needed help for a very long time. Just like some of them did. And I was lucky enough to have lived long enough to be able to do that. Some of them didn't have that chance. And that's unfortunate. Because some of those people were really good people too. I'm immensely thankful that I got to get here, that I was able to cross those hurdles and to fight my demons. Not for my kids' sake, not for my wife's sake. Yeah, they benefited from it, but for my sake. Because there's things that I want to accomplish now. There's goals that I have. There's a light at the end of the tunnel that wasn't there for the longest time. And I don't know if other people don't see it, or if other people don't want to see it, or if it's not there because they don't have the support system that I have. And there's so many questions that come into my head whenever I think of everybody and the shit that they're dealing with. You know, what are the motivating factors? What caused this? Why do you think like this? Etc. And that was the main motivation for doing this podcast. Because I want to help people. No, I'm not a licensed therapist. Maybe one day I will be. Hopefully one day I will be. But as of right now, I just want to be happy. I want everybody else to be happy. I posted it on my Facebook. It was like, I don't give a fuck who you are, if you're my best friend or if you're a complete stranger. I want you to win. And I mean that. I really, really mean that. Because all of us have spent so much time tearing people down, not knowing the ramifications of that. Meaning maybe somebody was already dealing with shit. Maybe somebody was told that they're a piece of shit and they're never going to amount to anything in their life, and your comment just came at the wrong time. Maybe that person's dealing with a drug addiction that you have no idea. And when it comes down to it, we have no idea. We don't know other people's lives. We don't know what anybody's going through at any given time. And that's why we need to be nicer to each other. That's why we need to be here for each other, so we can grow, so people have a chance to see their kids grow up, have an opportunity to see their grandkids. As corny as that may sound to some people, that's one of my big motivators. And it didn't used to be. You know, I figured I'd be dead before I even had kids. And now my goal is to sit on that front porch with the people closest to me, drinking sweet tea. Hopefully I don't have diabetes by then. And just watching my kids play with their kids. And they're going to call me Pops. I've already got it planned out. Like, I don't want to be Grandpa because... Not even because I care about it sounding old or anything like that, because Grandpa's taken. Like, that, my grandpa is grandpa to fucking everybody. My grandma is grandma to everybody. So, they're going to call me Pops. And I'm going to fucking enjoy every moment of that. I'm like, yo, what's up, Pops? It makes me smile thinking about it now, and it's fucking hypothetical. I found something to make me hold on. I found the motivation to want to get better. You know, and it wasn't that. It was me. I saw people dying around me, or going to jail, or stuck in whatever bullshit they're stuck in. And I don't want that life for me. I don't want it for my family. I don't want it for anybody. So I had to make a change. And I did. I'm not going to say I didn't have support, because I did. I absolutely did. But when it comes down to it, I did the work on my own. Everybody has to do the work on their own. Because it doesn't matter who you are. Nobody can do it for you. You have to really want it and really push to get it. And that's the long and short of it. If anybody ever needs help taking that first step, taking the next step, whatever, let me know, and I will help as much as I can. Because I'd rather help you take a step than watch you take your last one. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. That's it for today. It feels kind of disingenuous to do plugs and stuff now. I wasn't expecting it to get this serious. But if you want to follow me, all social media, thatinfernalnpc, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We just got YouTube handle too, so that's dope. Check me out. Leave some love. Pass me around like I'm a cheap blunt. I don't mind. That's fine with me. And just remember, guys, don't let the noise make you. You make the noise.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. If you like the show or know somebody who would, please subscribe and share to help us grow the show. You can follow us on all socials at thatinfernalnpc. You can listen on YouTube and Podbean at That Infernal Noise or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Please tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.